Hello, Pridelings, and welcome to our very first episode of the Cat Pride podcast. Let's freaking go. This is something I've been wanting to do for a very long time, and I've been working very hard on it behind the scenes for a little while now at this point. Okay, so what is this podcast going to be about? Well, I love movies, I love TV shows, I love to talk about them. And this was also one of the reasons I even started the channel in the first place, is to be able to talk about films and TV shows, and obviously to watch films that I haven't had the chance to see in my childhood that I missed out on, and just in general some new films to watch here with all of you guys as well. And it's been super fun. So basically, the point of this podcast is to go into more depth about the films and TV shows that we react to on the channel, but also to give space for films and TV shows that I have seen in my spare time, because there have been a lot of times where you guys would recommend films and shows that I have already seen, and that's completely fine, but I would still love to talk about them anyway. So this is what the main gist of podcast is. I might even branch out a bit and talk about games that I have been playing and that I love or that I hate, and things like that as well. But the main thing is going to be about movies and TV shows. The podcast is still in its baby stages, and I have a lot of things that I want to do with this podcast, including Q&As and some fun things as well. So if there are any movies and TV shows that you would like for me to talk about, feel free to leave a comment about them in any of the videos. And if I haven't seen them, then I will consider reacting to them for the channel. And if I do choose to react to them, then I will also consider making an episode about them for the podcast. So yeah, feel free to make recommendations. I will say this now also. I cannot guarantee that I will get through all of the stuff that you want me to watch. You guys have been recommending a lot of really cool stuff, and I'm still trying to get through the list of things that you guys have recommended. And it's important for me to also state that if I don't want to watch something, I will not. If I have no interest in reacting to certain things, I will not. Same goes for if I don't want to talk about specific films or TV shows because either I really don't have anything more to say about the film, and I don't want to spend the extra energy talking about the films, then I won't. So that's just a little, as to get that out there. I will say there are some films that I truly hate that I'm more than happy to talk about. So it can really go either way. So now that we have gotten that out of the way, today we are going to be talking about underrated gems, and specifically about Atlantis, the Lost Empire, Treasure Planet, and Sinbad, Legend of the Seven Seas. I am also aware that there are so many underrated films. I just don't have time to talk about them all in one episode. So I will be making more underrated gems episodes. But feel free to let me know in the comments what are some of your favorite underrated films. So basically, the way that this specific episode is going to be structured is that I'm going to talk about each film, and within each film I will be ranking them based off of 4 categories: characters, plot, and visuals, which can also mean is special effects and stuff like that, and the soundtrack. And then afterwards we are going to do a little bit of a Disney trivia to kind of have some fun, because why not? So yeah, why don't we just get right into it, and let's talk about Atlantis, the Lost Empire. So let's get right into characters category. I would rate it an 8 out of 10. I think that the characters, they're great, they're chaotic, they're complex, they're silly as well. We have Milo, who is a super passionate historian, and at first he does seem like a bit of a pushover, which he kind of is, but he also learns to grow a bit of a backbone. But what I do appreciate about him anyway is that when he is given an actual opportunity, he doesn't back down, and he's very determined to get what he wants. And I'm mainly referring to the scene where this crazy rich old guy who was best friends or partners with Milo's granddad. So he comes along and gives him a chance, and Milo fights for it. You know, he has the potential to do a lot of great. I also love how he's just so out of place with the rest of the crew. I mean, everyone is tough. They all have their own speciality, which Milo also does. But they're all tough, rough around the edges, and they've been through a lot as well. Whereas Milo, he's basically seen as this kind of weakling nerd, which on the one hand, I get it, especially when you're dealing with people who value power, strength, courage, charisma. And then you have Milo, who's like, okay, who is this random ass kid who's leading us? Like, bruh, who gave you the right? Which that part I do get. However, given the fact that he is the only one who is able to read the maps and the texts, the actual texts, listen to him. He's the only one who actually knows where he is going compared to everyone else. And yes, he has to kind of prove himself. And while you may know exactly where to go, it's kind of hard to kind of lead people to follow you, especially if they don't really respect you at first anyway. I also just want to say that I love how open the crew is, that their main motive is not knowledge for the sake of knowledge. It's literally just money. I mean, I highly respect that they were open and honest about it as well. So yeah, I'm referring to the campfire scene when Milo finally gets the invitation from the crew after they kind of learn to trust them a bit and stuff like that. So they have a little chat, and so he asks them what are their motives and stuff, and they all say the money. Fair, honestly fair. Also, I have to say, the mole is some creepy ass dude. I thought he was pretty creepy when I first saw the film as a kid, which, by the way, I don't know if I mentioned this either. I did watch the film when I was a kid, and I have rewatched it a good few times ever since then. But anyway, I remember when I first saw him as a kid, I felt like he was really odd, and I was kind of weirded out by him. I still feel like he's weird and creepy also. I also love that Kita punched him for whatever it was that he told her. I don't know what he said, but I love that she punched him, and that everybody was also chill about it. Really, like, it's almost like they knew that it was going to happen. So yeah, and I also would love to give just a little shout out to, I think her name is Packard, basically the woman who says we're all gonna die. Brilliant. Best execution ever. Best line delivery ever. Just on point. Just so simple and so hilarious. Just awesome. I love it. I also love the rest of the crew anyway. Vinny is fun because he likes to make things go kaboom boom, and I love that. And we also have Doc, who I also do respect that he has a little bit more of a moral compass as opposed to the rest of the crew, and that is also a thing I want to touch up on. When the dog sees that the commander struck the king of Atlantis, the dog was basically like, no, this is way too far, this is not cool. And it was that point also where the other characters were really being tested on how far they were willing to push the line. And so they had to push the line of it, especially given that money is a pretty strong motive. And so when you slowly start to see the crew kind of questioning things internally and being like, no, this is too far. It's nice to see that for some of the crew, there is a line that they're not willing to cross. Like, they don't want the Atlanteans to actually die in the end. So, yeah, I like that. And now I just wanted to quickly talk about Sinclair and the commander. I remember when I first saw the film, so obviously Sinclair is the bad guy, but I remember when I first saw her, I remember that I was very drawn to her. I think because she looked cool, she was tough, and just, yeah. Now that I'm older, I rewatched it a few times since I was a kid. Yeah, she's gorgeous, hot, tough. She is a baddie, and she knows it too. She knows it too. I would like to also give her some grace in the sense that at least she also does have some sense of a moral compass. I may also be completely overlooking anything else that she might have done in her past that were questionable at best and horrible at worst. But let's let that slide for the purpose of the film, because I think that she is a pretty cool a character. So anyway, I like how when they see that there are people in Atlantis, and she basically goes, there wasn't supposed to be anyone here. This changes things. Whereas the commander says, this changes nothing. Now, he's definitely very driven by power and fortune and glory. I think it's mainly a power thing though, but also money as well. He really reminds me of Clayton, honestly, from Tarzan. And also his death scene, I remember it really creeped me out when I was a kid, just like being turned into this crystallized thing, and the sounds that came out of him as well. And the fact that he didn't die right away either. I remember that it really creeped me out. But now, as I'm older, I think about that, and it's poetic justice. He wanted the heart of Atlantis. He wanted his treasure. And in the end, the treasure cursed him. Basically, poetic justice at its finest. And I love that. I love that a lot. We interrupt this program to bring you sponsors, starring ExpressVPN. That was kind of my way of trying to make light of the advertisements. If you followed me from my gaming channel, you'll know that ExpressVPN have been longtime sponsors of the channel. I've used them for many years, and I've really enjoyed their services. It is also thanks to them that I'm able to watch a lot of the movies that I react to for this specific channel. So how does this work exactly? Well, let's take Netflix as an example. Netflix has thousands of TV shows and movies that are region locked, meaning that if you live, say, in the US, then you may not have access to TV shows and movies that are being streamed in Germany or Japan or other countries. And this is where ExpressVPN comes in. With the click of a button, yes, it really is that easy, I can change my location, meaning I can basically tell Netflix where I want it to think I am, and therefore unlocking the TV shows and movies that are being streamed in that area. And the same idea also goes for other streaming services such as Hulu, Disney Plus, and more. So if you want to gain access to thousands of TV shows and movies, use my link right now at expressvpn.com/thealiencat666. That is expressvpn.com/thealiencat666. And you can get up to 4 months of ExpressVPN for free. The link itself will also be in the description box down below. Thank you so much, ExpressVPN, for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get right back to it. So yeah, the characters are an 8 out of 10, and now let's get on to the plot. So I personally give the plot a 9 out of 10. I mean, it's simple, but it's also great. It's a journey of finding the lost city of Atlantis and the heart of Atlantis as well. It's just so fun. I also love how we open the film, where you have the ocean view, then you have a few flying vehicles just flying towards something. Something happens. A kaboom happens. Obviously, somebody messed up. Or at least I think there were flying vehicles going towards. I do remember them going out, like going away from the kaboom. But basically, the point, I love that we open with a kaboom, and flying vehicles are going nuts, and then there was this random dude saying, "What have you done?" And basically all hell just unleashed, and it's carnage and chaos, and somebody had done a thing to anger the gods or whatever, and then they get buried under the sea. So under the sea. Okay, sorry. And then the film just takes a big old U-turn, and we are introduced to Milo, and we are given a bit of exposition, which is fine. And we eventually see that they go along this whole journey. And I have to also say, I didn't really think of this too much when I was a kid, but now I'm like, they brought a lot of people onto this journey. A lot of them died. A lot of people died to get to where they wanted to go to, which is like, damn, bruh, like, frick. Another thing that I also find pretty fascinating about this is that, given what had happened to Atlantis, is that basically the king forbade the study and the practice of the Atlantean language. Only the reading and writing part, people were still able to speak it, but they weren't able to read and write it, in fear that a mistake like that would happen again. So to prevent it, the king was like, no books, no writing. And here comes Milo, the only person basically who is able to read and write. well, I don't know if he's able to write Atlantean, but he can read it, and only he knows basically how to unlock their powers, which is interesting that an outsider is the one who has to come in and teach the locals about some of their customs. Also, one thing I wanted to touch up on is that the one scene that really pissed me off when I was a kid, it confused me. When I got older, it pissed me off. The scene where Milo and the commander, Sinclair, and Kita, so they find the heart of Atlantis. And then you see Kita is basically being lured to the heart by the heart, and she gets whooshed up there to the heart of Atlantis, just like her mother, and she is basically fused into it. Now, the way that the scene was built up, the music, and just, it was so well done. Like, the buildup was so great to only end it with her getting put in a cage. And it's like, hold up, wait a minute. She was just infused with this highly dangerous matter, and Milo preferenced to not touch her because, whatever. But what? I just remember I was really confused and annoyed when that happened when I was a kid. So the only thing I can probably think of that would probably make sense is that maybe that was the heart of Atlantis. Like, I don't really understand how sentient it is, or maybe because it fused with Kita, so it's getting a lot of her influence as well. I don't know. But my only thought process is that it's a way to push the people to fight back. And as in, like, it was easy for them to catch her so that they could take her away, only to force the Atlanteans to fight. I guess if it was some kind of a push that they needed. I don't know. That's the only thing where my mind goes to, where it kind of makes sense. I did also read that some people claim that when Akita was fused to the heart of Atlantis, she basically became dormant in the sense that she can't really do much, which I also find a little bit odd, given that, like, I don't know, it just, there's something about it that didn't make a lot of sense to me, and it was a little bit weird. But with that said, it's still a great plot. We got a pretty good battle at the end as well, which I liked. So yeah, all in all, fair. But like, just that one scene annoyed me as a kid. It confused me more than anything, because again, quite the build up with the music and her just walking on the water, and the heads of the past kings falling in the water, revealing a shield that is around her. So it's like, if she has a freaking shield, how did she put it in a cage? How it's I don't know. But with that said, the fight scenes, like I said, the fight scenes were really cool. So yeah. Okay, next we're gonna get into the visuals. I personally will give them a 10 out of 10. Amazing. The mixture with 2D animation and 3D animation, I think, was done exceptionally well. It was big and epic, and especially during the fight scenes, also either at the very beginning, at the end, and also the ones where while they are traveling underwater, you have these big giant machines that are basically attacking them as well. Just the sheer size and epicness of these machines, and just amazing. I remember being in absolute awe when I watched it as a kid, and just thought that they were amazing, and they still hold true, honestly. Like, so good. And lastly, I want to talk about the soundtrack. This also includes sound bites in general, and music or songs that are in the film. I would personally give it an 8 out of 10. I feel like some of the sounds that played, not some, most of the sounds that were played within the film, they really emphasized a lot of things. They played well. I also really liked the music that was playing when Kita gets mushed with the with the heart of Atlantis. Other than that, though, nothing really stood out to me that much, in the sense that, like, oh my god, what an amazing song, or what an amazing piece of music, or whatever. I didn't feel that, but I still want to give it an 8 out of 10, just because it's just really good and fun. So yeah. All right, so the final score for Atlantis is 8 out of 10 for the characters, 9 out of 10 for the plot, 10 out of 10 for the visuals, and 8 out of 10 for the soundtrack, making the total score 35 out of 40 points. Let's freaking go. So with that, let's move on to the next film that we are going to talk about, and that is Treasure Planet, which I have reacted to actually on this channel. So if you would like to check it out, feel free to click on the link that will probably leave somewhere up here, I guess, or maybe here. I think up here. The characters for me are a 9.5 out of 10. I just think that all of them are just amazing. Like, the characters are great. They're super well written. The captain is amazing. She's sassy. She's confident. She's a baddie. She's tough. And she really knows her shit. And she isn't afraid to make sure that you remember. I also do like that we did get a chance to see the softer side, her weaker side when she gets injured and she needs to be helped. I think it also helps that that she was getting close with Delbert, so I think she probably also allowed herself to be a little bit more vulnerable with him anyway. And we'll talk about him also. So, regarding Jim, in general, I think him as a character, I think he's really well written. I'm just not a huge fan of him. More so in the sense that like he is a good kid. He has a good heart. He has a lot of issues that was actually really nice to see him kind of work through as the film went on. And that's fine. I will also give him respect in the sense that he's very smart. He's a very, very smart kid. Mainly street smart. I also really like the relationship between him and this Cyborg also. I thought it was really nice to see them both get close and trusting in each other also, only to fall out of that and then back into that again, which, you know, laughs the roller coaster, so happens. I do have to say, I do remember that I thought it was a little bit too easy that this Cyborg was the guy that on the ship, because I remember being like, that can't be him, right? That's a little bit too easy. But as I watched the film more, I was like, okay, I see, because they're all on the same ship. They're not going to introduce any more characters, so it would make sense that it would be him. But yeah. And on that note also, there was one thing that I did want to touch up on. There are a lot of scenes in films where you have a scene where one character overhears another character speaking to a third character, and they're talking about the first character, and they only overhear a small amount of the conversation, and then they leave right before more information is revealed that is actually really necessary. One example is Shrek. This happens in Shrek, the first one. I don't like those scenes. I think they're annoying, they're frustrating, but I will say, at least in Treasure Planet, at least it wasn't a case that Jim overheard only a small part of the conversation. He heard the whole thing. With that said, the Cyborg did have to put a front for his crew, because if they spotted a weakness, they would rebel against him. And he didn't want that. So he had to kind of toughen his exterior to kind of prove to them that I'm not weak. And because of that, you know, Jim thought that he was lying the whole time, and that he tricked him, which is not 100% not true either. It definitely was that at the beginning, but he learned to care for him. But he obviously, the Cyborg was put in a very hard spot. So I prefer the way that they planned out that scene, at least, over the scenes that happen in Shrek, where the character only hears a tiny part of the combo. It's like, it's frustrating. Whereas here, it's like, well, he heard the whole thing, but he just he doesn't really know that this Cyborg actually does care for Jim. He is just in a tough spot. I also feel it was probably easier for Jim to actually believe that the Cyborg was fooling him, given that he has a lot of trust issues with people. So I do feel like that added more fuel to the fire. So all of this to say that I think that was well done, basically. And I wanted also to quickly talk about Delbert. I think he's awesome. I like, not only is he a total geek, a nerd, but he is just hungry for something exciting. And adventures. I love that he wasn't the typical stick in the mud nerd. He's very animated. I mean, he's cautious, yes, but he's definitely very much willing to kind of like jump in the pool and just go for it and have fun and do something awesome. So it was kind of refreshing to see that also, that you have this nerd who's cautious, but he's just so ready for adventure. Like he's been waiting for that chance for the longest time, and I love that. Now I want to talk about Morph. He's so cute. I love him so much. He is the cutest little blobby boy ever. He's so cute. I can't get over how cute he is. And he's such a little mischievous creature also. And he's so sweet. He's full of love. I just love him so much. And I wish that I could have a Morph as a companion. Also, just a quick shout out to the rest of the characters also. I think that they were all really well done and written. But yeah, just great characters. Love them. Adore them. Actually, Ben is the reason why it's a 9.5 out of 10. I mean, don't get me wrong. I do like Ben. I think that he's funny. But there are definitely times where it's like, oh my god, bro, stop. Bro, stop. But with that said, he's hilarious still. So, yeah. All right, let's move on to the plot. I give the plot an 8.5 out of 10. I mean, it's an awesome plot. You have, well, first of all, the world itself is pretty cool. You have spaceships that are basically based off of the ships that we see here that float in the water, that travel in the water, but in space. Spaceships. It's kind of dumb, but clever as well. Like, I love it. And so yeah, I think that the world itself is interesting, and also the plot of going on an adventure to find treasure, kind of like Atlantis. Also, it's more or less the same plot idea, at least. But nonetheless, it's really fun. Like Treasure Planet. It's really fun. And I did also touch up on this one. I was talking about the characters, but I do want to mention it again. Is that, well, obviously the plot is treasure hunting and stuff, but I do like that there is the focus on the characters also, especially between Jim and the cyborg. I thought that their relationship was really, really nice, especially given that Jim never well, he did, but his dad left when he was really young, so he never really had a fatherly figure to look up to. And here he comes, this really smart, creative guy who teaches Jim all he knows about how to run a ship and stuff. Obviously, it takes some time, but the whole build, I think, was really great. It would have been nice if the cyborg would have stayed, but it probably wouldn't really fit his character much. So, but yeah, really fun. All right, now let's get on to the visuals. I would rank it a 9 out of 10. Amazing. Beautiful visuals. Oh my god. And again, the mixture with the 2D and the 3D animations are so cool. And there were so many really amazing and smooth shots as well throughout the film that were just mind-blowing, honestly. And I think my favorite actually was the black hole scene. Wow, that looked amazing. I mean, it also played out amazingly, and it was dramatic and chaotic, and shit happens as well. And it really drives the rest of the plot also, but just beautifully done. It looked amazing and just so cool, creative, super awesome. All right, and lastly, the soundtrack. I remember the song that they played during the whole montage thing of Jim learning about the ways of the ship and stuff, and the cyborg teaching him stuff. A nice song, but nothing that really hits home for me. But other than that, I think that the sound effects also were really good. And yeah, just as a whole, I thought it was pretty well done. And I will say that I don't remember too much of the soundtrack. I'm also taking it under consideration that if I don't remember something negatively, then it's probably at the very least, not bad and pretty good as well. So yeah. Alrighty, so let's add up these numbers to get our final score for Treasure Planet. So again, we got characters as 9.5. We have the plot at 9. We have the visuals at 9 and the soundtrack at 8. Given our total score, I may or may not be using a calculator for this because I cannot be trusted with this simple math. 35 out of 40. It's like Atlantis. All right, cool. All right. And lastly, let's talk about Sinbad, Legend of the Seven Seas, which is another movie that I reacted to for this channel. So if you would like to check out the reaction, click on the iCard / link thing that's going to be somewhere up here. And I'm pretty sure by now you guys can probably notice the pattern here. I didn't just randomly choose these films. They were all made more or less around the same time. Atlantis came out in 2001, Treasure Planet came out in 2002, and Sinbad came out in 2003. And they both have a mixture of 2D animation with 3D animation. So there is a bit of a commonality with them. I didn't want it to be too random. But with that said, I'm not going to compare the films as a whole to the other films. I mean, sure, there are times where I will mention similarities or differences between the films, but my point is not to rank them against each other, at least not for this specific episode. It's just their own film gets their own ranking, and yeah. So let's get into the characters. I give them a 9 out of 10. I love them. Like, I think that they're great. I love Proteus. I like Marina, Sinbad. I love Spike. He's so cute. Sweet Spike. I also like, I forgot his name, but his crew as well. I think his name was Kale. Yeah, Kale. Because when I first heard it, I was like, Kale. Like the food, like the plant. So anyway, so yeah, the crew is great. I also just realized now, another similarity between all of these films is they're all treasure hunting films. They're all on ships. I just realized this now. Okay, cool. I mean, they have the same base, but it's interesting to see how differently each film can take it. Like, one goes deep undersea, one goes in space, and Sinbad travels through realms. Like, that's really cool. Anyway, let's talk about the characters. I have a lot of respect for Proteus. He loves Marina enough to be able to let her go, because he knows that if they would have gone ahead with their arranged marriage, that he would have been happy, because he was doing what he was raised to do, and he was looking forward to ruling the kingdom, I guess. Whereas Marina, that's not what she wanted. And Proteus, he knew this also, and eventually he lets her go. And he basically says, your happiness is more important to me because I love you. Like, that is true love, in the sense that he truly cares for her and he wants her to be happy, even if it means that she's not going to choose him at the end. And with that said, I do genuinely think that Marina does have love towards Proteus. I don't know if she's in love with him like she is with Sinbad, but she does, at the very, very least, she cares about him a lot. Now, it could be that it is backed by her royal duties also, that they do have to get married, and if he gets killed, then that kind of ruins things a bit. But I personally think that it does come more from a place of she really does care for him. You can kind of tell by the way that she speaks to him, and when she also sneaks onto the boat to make sure that Sinbad actually does what he needs to do. I think that two things were happening there at the same time. We see how much she has longed for adventure and the ocean, as well as she loves it. So to her, I think it was, her main thing was to go after Sinbad to make sure that he follows through with his promise. I think that she's hilarious, and she's tough. Like, she also gains the trust of the crew fairly quickly, also because she saved their lives. But she's tough, she's smart, she's quick on her feet, and she's charming as well. I do like her a lot. And with Sinbad, he is definitely a fun character. He doesn't take life too seriously. He wants to have adventures and just have fun and just enjoy life for what it is. And I respect that. By the way, they're all very well written characters anyway. With all of that said, I can respect a lot of things that have happened throughout the course of the relationships between the characters. Like, I can understand, and I can be super understanding that Sinbad and Marina, they go on this quest together. They argue like a married couple. There's obviously chemistry between them, and that's fine. You know, you can't control who you're attracted to. Like, and so yeah, they went on a crazy trip together, and they bonded over time, and that's fine because you also can't control who you fall in love with. I just still kind of feel uneasy about the whole thing. I think for me it mainly just comes from a place that I just feel bad for Proteus. I mean, that's also how life sometimes go. You know, you do the right things, and in the end, things don't always turn out the way that you originally planned for or hoped for. It happens, but it's just, he put his literal neck on the line for Sinbad, his childhood friend, and he was really looking forward to marrying Marina, a woman that he really loves, only to be left with nothing. I mean, sure, he has the kingdom, and that was something that he wants, and that's fine. But still, it's just meh. But again, that's life as well. It happens. Things don't always go the way that you plan out, and that's completely fine. I just still feel a little bit iffy about it. I feel like I could get a lot more into it because I do have a lot more to say about it, but I don't have a lot of time for this specific episode. What I will say, that towards the very end, I actually do like how when Sinbad was faced with a choice, he basically lied. I don't think he meant to lie. I think he wanted to help his friend, but his heart was kind of torn between two places. But in the end, he chooses to go back and pay the ultimate price. In the end, he didn't have to do that because when he did, he proved to Ares that, nope, I came back. I chose my friend. I chose his life over mine. So yeah, I give him a lot of respect for that also, especially because he has a tendency to run away. And that was also a thing that I liked to see. I mean, we find out that Sinbad ran away when he saw Marina because it was a love at first sight thing, which it wasn't really love at first sight, but he wanted her, but he knew that he couldn't have her, and he wanted his friend to be happy, so he left. Basically, that is what he did, ran away. And then he tried to run away again until Marina comes along and is like, nope, you are going to go through with your promise. You are not going to let your best friend die for your sake. Now, obviously, we know that Ares is the one who took the book, and Sinbad also knows this. But again, the book is gone. So somebody has to go and bring it back, and it has to be him. So yeah. So all of this is to say that it was very nice to see at the very end that he did not run away, that he went back to face his fate, basically. And that happened, so yeah. And I saved the best for last. I want to talk about Ares. I adore her so freaking much. Her design is really cool, even though her eyes seemed a little bit weird for some scenes, but that might also be the point. The goddess of the discord and chaos, her look is a little weird, so maybe that's kind of the point of it. But oh my god, I love that she was also the opening scene. Like, hell yeah, that was awesome. And she's a fun villain too. She loves chaos so much that she just wants to have fun with it. This is what brings her joy, is chaos and carnage and mayhem, and I love it. I love it. Also, the fact that her VA was a Pfeiffer, like, girl, you got skills. She did such a great job. Like, oh my god. So yeah, great characters. All right, and let's get into the plot. I think the plot itself was a 9 out of 10. Very similar to what we already said, in the sense that it's a journey for a treasure. In this case, it is a book, but it's a very crucial part of the kingdom. So yes, that whole journey was really fun and chaotic and just really awesome. As I said, as well, the love triangle thing, I don't think it's actually technically classified as a love triangle. I would have to actually look up the definition of it, but just the whole relationship thing, like I said, it's a little weird. I get it though, but also it's complicated, whatever. I also love how Eris's whole plan, it wasn't just to steal the book and have the kingdom go, where's the book, where's the book, where's the book? No, it was more than that. It was so much more than that. She knew exactly what to do to make it so that the kingdom would lose its only heir. It didn't exactly all go to plan in the end, but I do love how it was more than just I'm just gonna take this and see what happens. It's like, no, I know exactly what to do. So yeah, I love that. Alrighty, so let's get on to the visuals. I give the visuals here a 10 out of 10. Again, mixture of 2D with 3D animation. I personally think it was really, really well done. I know that some people didn't really like the mixture of 2D with the 3D animation, and that's fine. I loved it. I thought it was so good. Especially, my favorite part was that giant snow owl eagle thing. Like, oh, holy shit. I don't know what it was, but I remember when I watched it here, I was just so blown away of how, like, it was like, I felt the sheer size of that giant bird. I think it gave me the same feeling that I sometimes have. I don't even know what to call it, but basically it happens to me where, say, I see a picture, and by the way, the actual size of the picture itself can be the size of my phone. It doesn't actually have to be big, but the point is that you have a picture, and say you have the tiniest human, and then the background, you have giant mountains and a giant dragon in the distance. Just huge. It's such an overwhelming feeling. I think that that's the only way for me to explain it. Or even pictures I've seen. You know, when I say pictures, they're not actually pictures, they're drawings. But I've also seen drawings or paintings of, say, a small human, and when I mean a small human, it's like it's a regular sized human, just really small compared to the rest of the image, and a dragon that is looking down at it, and the dragon is fucking huge. It's just so much awe. I think that that's what I feel. I don't know if there's an actual term for it, but basically that is what I felt when I watched the giant bird scene. Just pure wow. I honestly love those scenes as well. I don't often see them in films, but when they happen, oof, wow, it's such an impact, so epic. I would like to say though, the way that the mermaids were animated, I do not think that is how they would animate them. Also, I think that they were sirens, not mermaids, but we'll call them mermaids. But anyways, just I did not think that they would basically be bodies of water in the shape of mermaids, so points for creativity. But with that said, I think the idea is really cool, but there was something about the execution of it that felt a little bit weird, a little off. I don't know, there was something about it that, I don't know, I think maybe it just didn't feel as real or menacing because it was literally just water, even though water is dangerous either way you look at it. So it fits, right? It fits, but there's something about it that it didn't hit quite as much as the rest of the film. I was going to say the giant bird, but nothing hit for me as much as the giant bird. So I'm not going to even, but yeah, weird mermaid sirens thing. Cool idea though, super creative, but something about it felt weird. Yeah. And lastly, the soundtrack. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I'm going to be honest, I gave it a 7 because I genuinely do not remember much of the soundtrack. However, it's not the best side, but it's not a bad side either, because if I don't remember it, it means at the very least it was pretty decent. It wasn't wow and overwhelming and being like, oh my god, what amazing music and sounds. But that also means that it wasn't bad either. Because if it was bad, I would have remembered. At least I would hope so. So that's why I gave it a 7 out of 10. If I were to rewatch it, I might change my answer. But for now, I give it that, and yeah. So yeah, let's add up the points and see our final score for Sinbad. So we got the characters at a 9 out of 10. We got the plot as a 9 out of 10. We got the visuals as a 10 out of 10. And we got the soundtrack as a 7 out of 10. Making our total score, losing my trusty calculator, 35 out of 40. How are they 30? All three of them are 35 points. What? I did not mean for this to happen, by the way. Okay, I guess that does reflect how I feel about them, and that they're all just awesome. But I did not expect them to all be the same score. Okay, cool. All right, so we are done with the movie rankings, and now I would like to go into some Disney trivia, because I think that would be a fun little segment to do for the podcast, and why not? So let's get right into it. As I said before, this is going to be a Disney trivia thing. I don't know if I will just do one, or maybe we'll do a couple of them. But for now, we're going to start with one. And this one here says, if you're over 41, you can ace this Disney trivia quiz with your eyes closed. Well, I'm not over 41, but I would like to try anyway. So let's go. First, let's start easy. Who was the first Disney princess? Snow White? Yes. Belle, Cinderella, or Ariel? Snow White was the first one. All right. Yay, correct. Next. We got, now, who was the villain in Sleeping Beauty? Maleficent. But let's also read the other options. Maleficent, Jafar, which is the villain for Aladdin. Lady Tremaine. I have a hard time pronouncing her name. That's the villain from Cinderella. And the Evil Queen, who is the villain of Snow White. But that was not the question. The villain of Sleeping Beauty is Maleficent. My favorite Disney villain ever. I adore her so freaking much. You have no idea, guys. Right. Who rubs the genie lamp in Aladdin? Jasmine, Jafar, the carpet, or Aladdin? Aladdin. Yes, Aladdin. Hell yeah. In the movie Up, what is the bird's name? Kevin. The names here are Ronald, Kevin, Carl, and Mo, and the answer is Kevin. I also have Kevin, Mr. Fredricksen, and the kid as Legos over here. Here is our dear and beautiful Kevin. She's so cute, isn't she? She is so beautiful and so cute. And here is also our dear Mr. Fredricksen. And the young kid who I don't remember his name actually, but here he is, all cute and small. They're actually a part of a whole set. Like, you buy one box and you have all three of them. So, next question: who does Mal put a love spell on in Descendants? Wait, okay, I have not watched this. We got Jay, Carlos, Ben, and Chad. I've not seen this. I don't know. I'll guess Jay. I don't know who Ben. Okay, I don't know who Ben is. I was wrong, but I've never seen it, so oh well. Next question. Who does Eric almost marry in The Little Mermaid? Adrina? No. Vanessa? Yes. Ariana or Veronica? Her name was Vanessa, aka the Ursula's alter ego. I guess you can call her. Next question. Lastly, what does Rapunzel want to see? The castle, stars, lanterns, or the sea? She wants to see the flying lanterns. Hey! I did it. I did the thing. Let's freaking go. Well, that was fun. I had so much fun talking about these movies. I think that they really do deserve a lot more hype, and it was also really fun to kind of end it on a little quiz. I'll probably find ones that are a little bit longer than the one that we had today, but that's okay. And that is all the time we have for today. Thank you all so much for tuning on in. I appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video and found it entertaining, please give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more videos every week. Let me know in the comments what are some of your favorite underrated gems. And if you would like to see full-length reactions of movies and TV shows, join the Patreon. And speaking of the Patreon, thank you all so much to my lovely patrons for supporting the channel. I appreciate you guys so freaking much. And thank you to all of you guys here on YouTube as well for all of the likes and for the comments and for watching the videos as well. I appreciate it so much. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day. Until next time.